Hi, my name is Stefany, and I just retired from 36 years with the American Broadcasting Company as an audio engineer. With occasional actual footage, I'm going to try to unfold the responsibilities, changes, and nature of the job through the years. It all started with an uncle who gave me a crystal radio set, and I found it amazing you could hear a radio station without even a battery. Then I strung an antenna between trees, got a license, and talked to people around the world. At Marietta College, I majored in radio and television, and upon graduation worked at the town's commercial radio station as a DJ at WMOA. I came to DC for a summer vacation relief engineering position at WTOP. When that ended, I went back to DJing at WEEL in Fairfax. I finally ended up at WMAL and Q107, now Mix 107.3 for another 10 years. And then finally down to the ABC Radio News Bureau for the remainder of the career. When I was a kid, we had tons of snow. It fascinated me. We couldn't get out the driveway, but I could get around the world with this radio. Journalism class helped us write our local news stories. We actually had TV porta-packs back then we could take into town and do an interview with the mayor, bring it back to the college TV station, and put it on Dimension News, which was carried by the local cable company. Here, I realized that a DJ was subject to a lot of job insecurity. If your ratings go down, you're out. If the format changes, you're out. Ownership change, you're out. But it was fun.
Northern Virginia's Radio 1310 WEEL. You're welcome. It's 11:20. It looks like there's rain on the way tonight. Maybe raining where you are right now. Down to 52 degrees tonight. Up to 67 tomorrow with rain in the morning.
I left DJing for WMAL's position of audio engineer. Part of the day, I would operate the on-air console for the talent. Then I'd edit news cuts and record shows. Setting up broadcast remotes were frequent, along with trips to the transmitter site for antenna readings. Timing was critical in this position. Here, I'm running the board for John Lyon.
We have a TV trivia question, and we'll open the phone lines at 432-WMAL. And I think we'll hear the song first, then we'll ask the questions and talk to y'all out there. This is the theme from Star Trek.
We gotta do D20, right, sometime?
Oh, yeah, okay. I got a short memory.
When I moved over to Mix 107, as it's called today, I spent 90% of the time in the production studio making multi-track promotional announcements for all of our giveaway prizes. All the lasers, flybys, whistles, booms, and bangs had to be in the right place, the right level, the right mix with the announcer. It was a lot of fun, but a lot of work. When I transferred to the Network News Bureau, it was a completely different atmosphere and job responsibility. It wasn't a radio station that had rock stars stopping by. No more music, just pure news and talk. The thought of spending hours miking a congressional hearing on milk contaminants didn't have much appeal at first, but the job quickly got interesting. Soon, I found myself on Air Force One traveling overseas to cover the president, which meant to technically support the ABC and radio pool correspondents in getting their reports fed back to their bureau, as well as the president's audio. This is where I work. In here you'll find our amps and power supplies, T1 lines to New York and Dallas, intercom panels, metering, Ethernet cables for data routing, audio switchers, satellite receivers, compressors for the audio, multiple ISDN units, IP codecs such as the Access, and cables and patch bays.
Here we are.
Here we are. Yes, that's
You'll be
Doug.
in here tomorrow.
That's Doug Lemrick getting ready for the 7 o'clock newscast. Matter of fact, let's work our way over to Studio A right now, where Doug Lemrick is getting ready to read the ABC radio newscast to stations across the nation. It's a unique setup because there's no producing here. New York does all the producing, which means New York plays the themes, the actualities inside the newscast, and the commercials and the closing theme. It's just like a long mic cable extended to Washington.
5 seconds. 2, 1...
From ABC News, I'm Doug Lemrick. The NSA's controversial snooping programs listening in on your President Obama heading the Midwest today to talk about the economy, how many middle-class folks need help.
With budget cuts and technology changes, I traveled less over the years and spent more time in central control with these main responsibilities. Priority was to keep the on-air lines working, then route the audio by using the switcher or patch cables, make sure the audio editing software was working for everybody, any guests needed their studio mic sent to the right place, schedule routine events to be recorded daily like the White House briefing, handle software technical problems as they come up, and have your gear bag ready to go down the street or across the country at a moment's notice. One of my first jobs was to set up the microphones and run the audio console for the 2 weekends of the Clarence Thomas hearings. Clarence Thomas is currently a Supreme Court judge. Sean Hannity was distributed by ABC, so when he'd broadcast from D.C., we'd provide and operate the remote transmission equipment. He's carrying the audio cassettes to me, waiting on the corner to play back to the world in 2000 when the Supreme Court made their election decision on Bush versus Gore. It was only later did I realize I was live on CNN.
If the Supreme Court rules those votes are not going to be counted, then the votes are not going to be counted.
By far, my favorite assignment was working with shuttle launches. I did about 8 of them. Veteran reporter Vic Ratner called the liftoffs for ABC Radio. Gil Gross joined Vic for the first launch after the Challenger disaster. Usually remotes are one-time events, and you never know technically what to expect until you arrive, but after a few trips you know where everything is, including some hiding spots for lamps and chairs. The broadcast location was always the same. It was familiar that the lines would go down the lawn, left into the dry drainage pipe, out the other side, then up the hill to our transmission location you see here. The mixer takes in all inputs, such as Vic's portable recorder, NASA and mission control audio, ambient sound from outside, several local mics for possible interviews. Also, there's a submix for me and Vic of New York's intercom feed.
This is live coverage from ABC News. I'm Brad Wheelis, along with ABC Director at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We're less than a minute away from liftoff. This is the first nighttime mission in 4 years, Vic. Significant for NASA.
Saturday night is just all right for this shuttle launch. Discovery on its 33rd flight.
3, 2, 1. We have booster ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery right into the nighttime.
Live from the Kennedy Space Center, it's Saturday night and Discovery is on her way. Night turns into day out of launch pad 39. 2 solid rocket boosters and 3 main engines all firing. We can see the space shuttle climbing into the night sky.
On a rotating basis between the radio networks, and all networks for that matter, a pull person is chosen to fly aboard Air Force One and record any audio the president may have in flight or on the ground between public events. The pull person travels in all motorcades, and the president generally does not visit the press area on Air Force One unless he has something newsworthy to say, but once in a while he comes back just to say hi. The rest of the media flies a chartered press plane that arrives usually ahead of Air Force One. Technically, how we get the event audio back to ABC depends on the remote location. When I first started, if 2 regular phone lines were available, we would hook up a Rude, whose internal circuitry would use one line for bass, another for treble, then combine them for higher quality audio. To make the connection, we just placed 2 phone calls back to the similar unit at ABC. The typical suitcase satellite seen here soon enabled us to transmit from any unobstructed outside location. Transmit time, though, is expensive. Low-cost ISDN lines provide excellent quality and are used today typically for longer duration remotes. And IP audio over the internet is being greatly used today, but packet delays could make live reporting not practical. So what's an overseas trip like? Well, it's usually to cover the president and consists mainly of hotel stays, bus and plane rides, and event coverage. After the press charter lands, we hop on a bus to the event location. There, escorts take us to the press section. There's not much time to set up, so you hope your lines are easily found and working. If you're using satellite transmission, you must find an unobstructed view of the portion of the sky where your satellite is located. Otherwise, you must negotiate with those in charge to change your location. When you find the spot, test the satellite signal. If it's good, unpack and set up the rest of the gear. Hopefully, this only takes 15 minutes. Soon, the president speaks and you're feeding it back to ABC. After the event, sometimes before, the correspondent will track their audio to New York while your uplink is on. When all is done, hop on the bus and it's either home or another bus ride, plane ride, bus ride event. And after that, maybe another bus ride, plane ride, bus ride event. And after that, you lose track of where you are. When working the White House, you are generally connecting Ann Compton's microphone to New York, from the Rose Garden, South Lawn, or from the East Room in the White House. Here the president is taking Ann's question. If it's a day without any events, the press still reports to the network booth just off the briefing area. The photo op, or spray, is short. Sometimes there are statements.
Proliferation of weapons of mass destruction is a major issue that faces the world, and it's an issue in which the United States will still lead. Stretch.
On a nice spring day, cool temperatures, this was a great assignment. So that about wraps it up. We're going to close down here with a few more pictures.
Doug Limerick, ABC News.
See the Limerick.
Okay. Yep.